Well, here's my next project. It's the middle of November here in upstate New York. So we got to restore the plow that goes on the pickup truck that we restored here this summer. So it's pretty well rotted out and stuff. So we're going to reface it and fix up anything else that happens to be bad onto it. And if anybody, if you remember or have been following along on my channel here any length of time, you know that I have a tendency to want to restore and reuse things that most people would throw away. So in that theme, I was going to buy some new metal, some new steel to reface this, and I had a 275-gallon oil drum that had developed a pinhole into it, and they needed to get it out of their basement, so I had gotten it out of the basement years ago and just never did anything with it. But what I did is I cut it apart, and the metal, the thickness of the metal is basically the same thickness as the plow face right now. So you can kind of follow along with what I'm going to be doing here. We're going to cut the face, the old face, the rusted up face off, and we're going to reface it with the metal from a 275-gallon drum. So all I'm going to have is some time and welding in it, welding rod, and at that point, and then we'll paint it and it'll be all ready to go for the winter. This is another project at some point in time. It's an early 50s Massey Ferguson TO20, I believe they call this. Obviously needs a paint job. Has a couple small issues. One, it doesn't charge anymore. It's a 6-volt system. We're going to convert it to 12-volt. The 3-point hitch doesn't work exactly the way it should, so we'll be looking at that. And the governor doesn't work the way it should. So we're going to be doing a little restore on this as at one point in time here. We already started out of necessity. The rim on this side where the valve stem hole rusted out, so I quickly welded in a patch, put a new tube into it, and drilled a hole in a different spot, and away we go. Probably almost 40 years ago, before I owned this tractor, I re-sleeved it, all new bearings, did a valve job on it, did a whole bunch of work on it, and it was on a small family farm. They had a couple of them and a couple other tractors and stuff. They used it to basically run back and forth with hay wagons and stuff like that, and so I ended up with it as the people passed away, and so we've had it, and it's kind of been in this condition for, oh gosh, probably 30 years, and so I guess it's about time that we probably should restore it and paint it and get her back up in shape. All right, so this is how we've been picking things up usually. A lot of times we don't have a front end loader on anything, so this is a 3-point hitch that picks things up, and we can move it around, and it works pretty good. All right, we'll get this loaded up on a stand and start doing our thing. All right, well, we've been cutting this. Just cut the welds. There's welds, you know, in a couple different spots. Same way with here. And then it's lapped over top on the very top. So we're cutting this out in sections just to make it easier. And it's actually coming off, excuse me, pretty easy. We're using the plasma cutter for the most part that we bought, and although I didn't give like a review of this thing, but it's been absolutely great while that we've had it, and for the cost of it, it's been great. All right, I haven't bored you with actually filming this while I'm cutting it off. It's just kind of mundane work, and just taking the plasma cutter and cutting it off, and then using a air hammer to break it loose, the final break loose, and then once all that's done, we'll clean it up and use a needle scaler on it and get it all cleaned up and get ready for the new skin. All right, well, we got the face of the plow all stripped off. We got this freed up really well. We were going to take the pins out that are in here, but they are just so seized up in this part that we can't get them out. These tubes are in pretty good shape yet, so there's no problem with it swiveling on that. That's actually where they're supposed to swivel on anyway. So we're just going to leave them alone. The pins and the rest of it is all, it's okay. I just wanted to take them out to take them out and clean it up and then paint this piece individually. But since we can't, we'll move on and go to the next step. What we're doing now is we're needle scaling, taking all the old paint off, and if you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me do this before on the frames and stuff. I'll just show you again how we do this, and just to kind of give you an idea. This particular needle scaler came from Harbor Freight, in case you are curious where to get these. They're relatively inexpensive. I don't know. This one is several years old now and has worked well for me. All right, this is how we basically how we clean up the metal. It does almost as good a job as sandblasting. It's a little bit more work maybe, but you don't have to buy any material to do it either. Finish cleaning this up, we'll flip it over, we'll do that area on the other side, then we'll start grinding the old welds and getting it ready to prep to put the new face on. Alright, area here, all needle scaled, got all the old paint, the loose paint, and the rust off from it. What we're going to do now is grind all the welds that where we cut with the plasma cutter, and then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. By the way, this is a 7-inch grinder. This is also from Harbor Freight. What I like to demonstrate in these videos is that you don't need thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tools and equipment to do some of this stuff. One of the things that this grinder has worked really well. I've had it for probably 2 years. Done a lot of projects with it. One thing that you really need is good grinding discs. I find that with a good grinding disc, you can put up with these cheaper 7-inch grinders. It's relatively light, and it's been doing the job. So these are the holes where the springs go that keep it from flopping and onto it. So we'll continue to clean up these welds and get it flipped over so we can start cleaning up the other side. And once that's done, we can cut the face, and we'll go from there. Yeah, all right. Well, we got her cleaned up, and all the welds ground down. We're ready to put the got all this stuff out, all the crap out of here, the rust scale. We're ready to cut the face, the material for the face. And like I say, that's the material for the face is going to be cut out of a 275-gallon oil drum, and the metal is plenty thick enough, and it's free. All right, so we'll get this put away here, and we'll get ready to cut the metal for the face.